Assalamu alaikum. Salatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'een. Qur'an in many places has described Shaitan or Satan's characteristic as being arrogant. A high-ranking creature made out of fire but in company of angels who disobeyed the Creator. Because of what? Because of arrogance and jealousy toward position of Adam alayhi salam. Both qualities, arrogance and jealousy, being the major sources of evil in mankind. Allah warns us and declares Shaitan to be our major enemy. His main focus is tempting mankind into disbelief or any evil quality. However, if Shaitan cannot outright mislead people to commit clear acts of disbelief, he resorts to more subtle means like innovation in religion, neglecting obligatory acts of worship. As Qur'an refers to it, Shaitan averts you from remembrance of Allah and from prayer in chapter 5. Allah has made certain actions obligatory on every Muslim, the most regular of which is the 5 daily prayers, as Shaitan makes us neglectful of these prayers. Shaitan presents sin to people in a favorable light, such as how he deceived Adam and Eve into eating from the tree, saying, "O Adam, shall I lead you to the tree of eternity and to a kingdom that will never waste away?" Although Adam alayhi salam was surrounded by many permissible foods, many other fruit trees, Shaitan convinced him to eat from that one tree that was forbidden. He also perverts good things, permitted things, to bad things, like tricking many to fornicate over marriage, haram income over halal way, small percentage of prohibited food and drinks over vast majority that is wholesome and pure. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وزين لهم الشيطان ما كانوا يعملون. Shaitan made attractive to them that which they were doing in chapter 6. Every human has desires and temptations, and Shaitan plays on these desires and convinces man to indulge in instant gratification without considering the consequences. Again, in chapter 4, it says, يَعَدُهُمْ وَيُمَنِّيهِمْ وَمَا يَعَدُهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ إِلَّا غُرُورًا. Shaitan promises them and arouses false desires in them, but Shaitan's promises are nothing but deception, nothing but delusion. Now, the verse of the day reflecting Shaitan's plan come from chapter 7, Surah Al-A'raf, where in the beginning of chapter it talks about the story of Adam alayhi salam. The story is mentioned in Qur'an in detail here and there in multiple places, about 7 times, and each time with different context, or shall we say it is not exactly repetition, but each time looking at it from different point of view. And this is the answer to those who say, I know the story. Yes, you might in general know the story, but each time it is repeated, you get different set of wisdom. This is true for all the stories in Qur'an. So what you learn here in chapter 7 is unique and different than what you learn in Baqarah chapter 2, for example, about Adam. The topic starts with creation of mankind. وَلَقَدْ خَلَقْنَاكُمْ ثم سورناكم ثم قلنا للملائكة اسجدوا لآدم فسجدوا إلا إبليس لم يكن من الساجدين. It is we who created you and gave you shape. Then we told the angels, prostrate before Adam. They prostrated, not so Iblis. He refused to be among those who prostrate. Meaning, we did not just create you, we fashioned you, we molded you. Of course, Allah created the sky, the mountains, the ocean, beautiful waterfalls, etc. Allah has created everything with a beauty of its own. But He does not go out of His way describing them, other than just saying that He created them. But when He talks about us, human, He says not only He created you, but He crafted you, He fashioned you. And the idea of crafting is not like what we call tasweer, which means picture or painting. Sawarnakum in Arabic means molding or crafting, which is something of an art. It's not out of need, but, out of need He creates. But if you want to create, then decorate or beautify, then you do this tasweer. Do the tasweer of it, mold it, fashion it. Allah Azza wa Jal says He created human, then fashioned him. So now, this is actually a very interesting topic. Another place He adds the word ahsan, or best. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَاهُ فِي أَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ. We created human being in the most upright, the most beautiful, the most, beautiful and best stature. Or says, خَلَقَكُمْ وَأَحْسَنَ صُوَرَكُمْ. Created you and fashioned you the best way, the most beautiful way. This is important as Allah Azza wa Jal draws our attention toward the fact human being is an attractive creature. This is a powerful source in human beings. As a matter of fact, there's a whole multi-billion-dollar industry built around it, around beauty and related markets. Everything from cosmetic industry to fashion industry to clothing industry, modeling, and even adult film industry, how they pick actors and actresses in Hollywood. They capitalize on human beauty and attractiveness of human face and body and make billions of dollars. So this is a very powerful thing Allah Azza wa Jal endowed human with. After giving you this introduction, going back to the story of Adam alayhi salam, and I'm sure all of you know the story of Adam and Eve to some level. The only instruction Allah gave to our parents, Adam and Eve, was do not go near this tree. لا تقرب هذه الشجرة. Do not go near this tree. And today's verse or verses start with وَيَا آدَمُ اسْكُنْ أَنْتَ وَزَوْجَكَ الْجَنَّةَ فَكُلَا مِنْ حَيْثُ شِئْتُمَا وَلَا تَقْرَبَا هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةَ فَتَكُونَا مِنَ الظَّالِمِينَ. O Adam, dwell you and your wife in this garden and eat from that which you wish, but do not go near this tree, as you will be among the transgressors, the wrongdoers. Either of you stay away from this tree. That was the only don't instruction that Allah gave them. Now, you can imagine Shaitan's goal to be to get them to eat from the tree. That is what you and I expect. But Allah Azza wa Jal does not describe it that way. In chapter 2, He says, وَأَذَلَّهُمَا الشَّيْطَانِ. Shaitan caused both of them to slip. We still don't know what exactly that slip is. But in chapter 7, not only Allah tells us what Shaitan did, but also tells us Shaitan's motivation. So why does Allah not want us to go near the tree? Is eating from the tree Shaitan's ultimate goal? Or is there another goal he has in mind that will destroy the human race? You have to understand, at the end of the day, they were told it is haram, forbidden, to eat from the tree, and they ate from it, hence the mistake of the history was made then and there. However, if you think about it from a logical point of view, we make lots of mistakes in our lives. We do pretty bad things. People kill, rape, pillage, torture, persecute, rob, invade, take over others' property, deny rights, abuse. We do all kinds of horrible things. And when you compare all these horrible things with eating a fruit, it doesn't seem like a bad thing. In fact, Allah calls it a slip, adallahuma, or reduces it to just a slip. But Shaitan saw something more than just a fruit. He had a very particular agenda. This is what I wanted to highlight before you today. Keeping the introduction earlier in mind, Allah describes what was in Shaitan's mind. فَوَسْوَسَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ. Shaitan continuously whispered to them. He would whisper and he disappear. Then come back and whispered again, then repeat again. The idea is you have to constantly bombard someone with a message until they accept it. This is a very nature and principle in advertising and propaganda. Why do you think they run ads over and over again until the jingle, the slogan, the name is burned into our memory? Remember the Nike ad, Just Do It? I remember in 80s, the Wendy's hamburger commercial on TV and radio, the old lady saying, "Where's the beef? Where's the beef?" Which not only reminded us of Wendy's hamburger, it became a form of expression in dialogues. It was mentioned daily. You see, this is how that works, the message. Then you go out and you see a drink commercial 8 to 10 times. Then next thing you know, you're drinking it. It sort of gets planted in your head. The idea of waswasa is continuous suggestion or gradual deception in the case of Shaitan. Now, what is his goal? Allah says in his goal in verse 20, فَوَسْوَسَ لَهُمَا الشَّيْطَانُ لِيُبْدِيَ لَهُمَا مَا وُرِيَ عَنْهُمَا مِنْ سَوْآتِهِمَا وَقَالَ مَا نَهَاكُمَا رَبُّكُمَا عَنْ هَذِهِ الشَّجَرَةِ. Then began whisper suggestions to them, bringing openly that which was hidden from them, of their shame. And then, of course, he said, Lord only forbid you this tree, lest you both become angels or immortals. Verse 20. He says Shaitan kept whispering to them so he could expose before both of them what was covered of them from their ugliness or shame, meaning their naked bodies. Now, this is difficult to understand because a moment ago, in a verse from the same surah, same chapter, Allah said He created us and fashioned us beautifully. Now, here it says Shaitan exposed their shameful part or ugliness. He wanted to remove their clothed from them. First of all, there are two problems here. Number one, why isn't he just saying Shaitan wanted to get them to eat from the tree? Number two, how come all of a sudden Allah is saying that in this surah that same body he made beautiful is now ugly or shameful? Why in the world would he say that? This is a problem that humanity, especially the believer, must understand. We must understand, and we must understand this verse well. Allah Azza wa Jal made our body beautiful. As a matter of fact, nothing is more attractive to a man than a woman's body, and vice versa. زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ. Beautiful for people are the desires for women. The strongest attraction that was placed in a man is the attraction to a woman. It's a very powerful force. As a matter of fact, it is so strong that the same language that was used for big sins like fornication is used for this tree that we're talking about. Over there it said La taqrabu zina, do not go near fornication. Here it says La taqrabu hadhihi shajara, do not go near this tree. Or La taqrabu al-fawahish, do not go near shamelessness. Don't go near illicit relationship with a woman or a man. Don't go near any act of lewdness. It is dangerous, and it is like the tree. When you go near it, you get sucked in. You're not even gonna realize how far you have gone. You thought it was just a look, she or he is beautiful, then you looked again, he or she smiled at you, and you smiled back, and then things kind of started rolling from there, and then things just got out of hand. And before you know it, you were wrapped up in something that you don't even know how to get out of. So this idea of not going near it is a sound advice, because you won't even know when to stop. You will continue to the point of no return. So Allah Azza wa Jal here describes when human beings are exposed to each other outside the command of Allah, outside His limits, then that is in fact the ultimate ugliness, the ultimate shameful act. A man and a woman are supposed to have the most beautiful, loving relationship. Allah made us beautiful for a reason, so we would be attracted to each other. But then He created an institution by which this relationship could be made legitimate, lawful, permitted. It is called institution of marriage, which is decreed by all major religions. But when human beings, due to this attractiveness, due to this attraction, seek a relationship which is unlawful, which is away from Allah's approval, which is outside His limit, then that same relationship that they got in because of the attraction, beauty, becomes ugly, becomes unlawful. And it is not just the ugliness of physical body, because someone listening to this could say, I've got a girlfriend who is still beautiful. I don't see how she got ugly. No, this is not what I'm talking about. There is an ugliness inside you. When goodness inside you dies, this ugliness takes over. Human beings were made attractive not just outside, but also inside, spiritually, morally, ethically. Human beings were made beautiful in their personality, and when you engage in an illicit relationship, some of that beauty is gone. Some of that goodness that Allah gave you starts getting stripped away. So you find a young man who has an unlawful relationship with a girl, or vice versa, you'll see their relationship with their parents gets uglier and nastier every day. They will fight with them. He or she will have anger problem. Like this relationship is there, but brings out ugliness in both of them and toward other members of their family. Ugliness that you can't figure out where it came from. This is the sawa, ugliness, or what has been translated as shame. Now, a little explanation here. Ugliness in Arabic is qabih. So what is this sawa then? Sawa literally means corpse, dead body. You see, nothing is uglier to human eye than seeing a dead body. You find it disgusting, the smell of it, the look of it, the deteriorated flesh, the skin, bones, insects, worms, all of which is hideous for us to think. That's the image Allah Azza wa Jal describes. In other words, the verse implies your body is alive and breathing, but your soul starts dying. Your soul starts turning into corpse. فَوَسْوَسَ لَهُمَا الشَّيْطَانُ لِيُبْدِيَ لَهُمَا مَا وُرِيَ عَنْهُمَا مِنْ سَوْآتِهِمَا Shaitan whispered to them gradual deception and wanted to expose them, their naked body, their shame, their ugliness. He wanted to take the goodness away from them. By the way, on that note, it is important to understand that Allah Azza wa Jal gave human higher status than the angel and the Iblis himself, in that it is a creature with both physical and spiritual aspect. فَإِذَا سَوَّيْتُهُ وَنَفَخْتُ فِيهِ مِنْ رُوحِي فَقَعُوا لَهُ سَاجِدِينَ. In chapter 38, verse 72, when I fashioned him and breathed into him of my spirit, fall down and prostrate before him. The body is beautiful, but it is the ruh, the soul inside human being, Allah put inside you, the goodness that makes you more beautiful than other creations of Allah. That is what sets you apart. And Shaitan knows it, so he's going to expose the physical beauty of human so he can destroy the spiritual beauty of human, the beauty in your soul. That is his goal. Having said that, how did he convince our parents, Adam and Eve, to finally go to the tree and eat from it? It's a long story, but just a short version of it. He told Adam and Eve, listen, you were created for earth. So you are about to be transferred out of this heavenly garden to earth. Now, who would want to leave heaven and go to earth? Then he said, the only people who get to stay here are angels. Sorry, you're not angels. The only way to get permanent residency to this garden is to become angels or to be among immortals, which can be done only by eating from that tree. That is the only way. إِلَّا أَن تَكُونَ مَلَكَيْنِ أَوْ تَكُونَ مِنَ الْخَالِدِينَ. End of verse 20. Your Lord has forbidden you this tree, lest you both become angels or become among the immortals. Among the immortals. Either you become an angel, which is impossible, or you can be immortal if you eat from this tree, and then you get to stay here forever. This is how our parents made that mistake. Furthermore, Shaitan reassures them that he had their good will in his heart. That he told them that he was a good friend, a sincere advisor. وَقَسَمَهُمَا إِنِّي لَكُمَا لَمِنَ النَّاصِحِينَ. Verse 21, and he swore to both of them that he was their sincere advisor. Sounds familiar? Those of us with bad friends, bad companion, hear this kind of statement before we listen to them. And then on the next verse, فَدَلَّهُمَا بِغُرُورٍ. Very important verse to understand. He roped them in slowly. He roped them in slowly. Caused them to fall slowly. Dalla in Arabic comes from dalw. Dalw means what? Bucket. Bucket was used back in the days to send down the well for water. And then they filled the bucket and they pulled it up slowly by the rope. This is called adla dalwahu. Now, if this is a slow process, of course, but eventually the bucket comes up to the top full of water. When it is extra slow process, you do not say adla dalwahu, you say dalla dalwahu, which is used in this verse. فَدَلَّهُمَا بِغُرُورٍ. He deceitfully roped them into delusion. Shaitan is not in a hurry. He wants to get you, but he takes his time. He comes at you, but you say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. I seek refuge to Allah from Shaitan. He says, okay, but you know, I'll be back. I'll be back. I'll catch you later. Don't worry. Then he will come back and come back again. He's not going to give up. He's not in a hurry to get you to disbelieve or to sin. He's going to work on you 1% at a time, and this is very important to understand. Gradual deception. Gradual deception. You know about the experiment where they dropped a frog into hot water. He immediately jumped out. Then they put him in cold water and slowly heated the water. This time, due to gradual heat, he did not jump out when it got hot, since he got used to it and eventually died because of too much heat. It did not even realize the rising temperature. Shaitan does not want you to do the haram right away because he knows you'll realize it right away, seek Allah's protection, and not do it. So he will come at you with innocent things, so that you say, this is a little thing. What's wrong with it? Haven't killed anyone. Then he wants you to do more of it, or more often. You'll tell yourself, why are you making such a big deal of it? That is exactly what he does. دَلَّهُمَا بِغُرُورٍ. Ropes you in, and he does it with all kinds of deception. It is interesting that in Arabic the word غرور means deception, and also means, it has a secondary meaning, means pride. Shaitan puts the deception in a way that when some family member warns them, advises them, they get defensive. They get maqroor and say, what are you talking about? Who are you to correct me? Their ego gets in the way. He did the same thing to Adam and Eve. He worked on them for a long time. Gradual deception. فَلَمَّا ذَاغَ شَجَرَةً بَدَتْ لَهُمَا سَوْآتِهِمَا. Their nudity, their ugliness was exposed as a consequence of their action. This is a very powerful philosophical and symbolic teaching from Qur'an. Not only we take it literally, but there are lots of wisdom inside it. When a human being goes down the road of haram, forbidden, whether it is haram food, haram earnings, haram behavior, when we decide to break Allah's rules, that He told us stay away from something, and we didn't, then slowly but surely you lose your shame. Slowly but surely the ugliness will come out as a result of your action. You will lose your hesitation. You will lose your modesty. Your eyes, you can no longer stop them. Your tongue, you can no longer stop it. The bad words, ugly or filthy words just come out. The ghiba, backbiting, the lies, you can't control it anymore. You're gonna be shameless with your eyes, shameless with your speech, shameless with your actions and behavior. It will go down a spiral. It all started with something small, something seemingly innocent, like eating the fruit of some tree, all because you went near some hurumat, some unlawful things. And Allah will take away your haya, your shame, your modesty, your sense of hesitation, or the little voice inside you, the voice of conscience inside you. He will strip that away from you. Now, back to the verse, what happened? وَطَفِقَا يَخْصِفَانِ عَلَيْهِمَا مِنْ وَرَقِ الْجَنَّةِ. And they began to cover themselves with the leaves of Jannah. They got humiliated. They were embarrassed. They started clothing themselves. What do we learn from this? That it is the nature of children of Adam to not be naked in front of each other. It is in their nature to cover themselves. So all human beings are naturally inclined to be covered. Imagine a little girl or a little boy when they reach the age of consciousness. Even though they are still very young, perhaps 3 years old or 4 years old, if the father walks into the room, the mother is changing their clothes, they react by trying to cover themselves under the blanket or something. Allah puts a sense of modesty, shame, or haya in their nature. But what happens when Shaitan starts taking away, chipping away this sense of modesty, haya, little by little? He takes everything that is supposed to be ugly and turns it into something seemingly beautiful, seemingly okay. وَزَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ مَا كَانُوا يَعْمَلُونَ. Shaitan took their deeds and beautified it, adorned it for them. Now, with Iman, with faith, what Allah made bad or ugly, we see it as such. We see it as bad or ugly. What Allah made good and beautiful, we see it as good and beautiful. But if you let Shaitan come into your heart, then things that are supposed to be ugly, supposed to be bad or harmful, starts what? Start becoming beautiful or looking like something good or okay or safe. This is called perversion. And at the end of the verse 22, Allah says, "Did I not forbid you from that tree and told you that Shaitan is an open enemy, avowed enemy to you?" So you get to the point in a society, the less you are covered or clothed, or more you are exposed, the more natural, more accepted it becomes. The word of Prophet, peace be upon him, who said there will come a time when women will be clothed or covered, but in fact practically naked. Today their clothes hug their body so tightly that the entire body shows as if they were naked, but spray painted on their body that looks like a cloth. That this will become beautiful to humanity. This is, by the way, Shaitan's ultimate goal, ultimate trap, that shamelessness is celebrated throughout the world. Even when our young men or women who want to watch a movie, what do? They show you a trailer. What do they do in these trailers? They show some action scene, some explosion, some guys fighting, some restaurant scene, some car chase, and then in middle of all these scenes, they will put a nudity scene for just a couple of seconds, and maybe a foul language to just spice things up, make it real or cool. Anyway, back to the nude scene. The movie, the plot has nothing to do with the nude scene, but they will throw that in. Now I gotta go and watch it. They grab you in like that. Or the advertisements, the signs. They use a half-naked woman to sell car battery. So they celebrate shamelessness and celebrate what was supposed to be covered from humanity's eyes, except where it's permitted. But then there is another extreme, meaning we are supposed to be modest, we are supposed to be bashful, we are supposed to protect our haya, true, but even after you get married, like in some Muslim cultures, we're more religious than the Qur'an and the Sunnah of Prophet, peace be upon him. So the wife is wearing hijab and jilbab, full clothing, even at home. She doesn't even beautify herself for her husband. She doesn't dress herself up for her husband or seduce her husband. You ask her why don't you do it? Astaghfirullah, she says. So when you are fully covered in front of your husband, when you are alone together, when the relationship between a man and a woman is not beautified under the shade of halal, what Allah made halal, when it's not beautified under the shade of permitted, then Shaitan has the opportunity to say to the man, what you are looking for is outside waiting for you. So this is something Allah Azza wa Jal is protecting us from in Qur'an, to beautify, to romanticize the relationship within the marriage, of course. Allah wants us to utilize the adornments He gave us, both internal and external adornments. قُلْ مَنْ حَرَّمَ زِينَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي أَخْرَجَ لِعِبَادِهِ. Say, who has forbidden the beauty, the adornment Allah has brought for His servant? Verse 32, same chapter 7. Who is going to prohibit you from enjoying this beauty? Allah is saying there is an appropriate place and setting for this beauty. Allah does not want to deny us the beautiful things He has given us. He has made us beautiful inside and outside, so we would be attracted to each other. But you just have to go through proper means to get to it. Allah Azza wa Jal wants us to keep perfect balance. Now, in our times here in U.S. and much of the even the Muslim world that is modernizing, what do you see? You see beautiful roads, infrastructure, utilizing the best technologies, all the conveniences. You see all the good things happening in the society. Alhamdulillah. But in one thing, the humanity is going backward, losing itself, and that is celebrating shameful things, breaking the barriers of modesty or haya. The society celebrates obscenity, celebrates nudity, young kids having foul language, a big vocabulary of these bad words, and they learn in school and even at home, having access to improper chat rooms and social media through mobile devices that have access to unlimited improper sites and resources, where the concept of ghiba, for example, that used to be ghiba or backbiting between two people or maybe a couple of more people in the privacy of a home, but people now backbite on the internet, on the chat rooms. God knows how many people see those statements. So the ghiba, the backbiting, is broadcasted. So these devices, while can be used for, as a good tool, they can also rip your soul from your body. You're exposed to these things 24/7 and continuously bombarded with images and messages. We have to, on one hand, protect ourselves, protect the beauty Allah created inside of us, and on the other hand, it can't be ignored. It needs proper outlet. It needs a channel so it can reach its purpose. This is why Allah created institution of marriage and family. Allah Azza wa Jal has given us a beautiful and practical religion. He does not expect you and I to become saints. He doesn't. There are companions of Prophet, peace be upon him, who had a life before Islam. They didn't exactly have a perfect life, as they did many things that later Islam forbade. Even after Islam, they had a hard time coming out of that life. It was a journey for them. And, Prophet, peace be upon him, did not, drop it all on them. He gradually educated them as he built their iman, their faith. Some of you have made mistakes in the past. Some of you continue to make mistakes. It is never late. You can pray 2 rakat to Allah, and at the end ask Allah to give you strength that you get out of these improper behaviors, get out of these habits, get out of these relationships, improper relationships. Nobody has to know about it. It is between you and Allah. You don't have to admit it to anybody. Allah already knows all about it. If you can't find or build that strength inside you now, then when can you? Now is the time to get out of these issues we're having. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal for those of us who have made mistakes and continue to make mistakes, that He gives us strength in Iman so we can get rid of these mistakes. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to help us recognize when Shaitan is trying to pull us in, pull us into his traps, and help us avoid them. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to help us recognize Shaitan's perversions and help us distinguish what is permitted and what is not permitted, and help us keep our modesty. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. السلام على من اتبع الهدى.